What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about if Guitar Hero could return with next generation. Now, I believe it was last summer that I made a video talking about when we will get, or if we will ever get, a new Rock Band game, if Rock Band will ever come back. And so if you guys have not checked out that video, definitely go try to find it, because it kind of has to do this thing, the same thing with Guitar Hero. These two games are very, very close to each other, and I mean, if you're diehard, you may be already clicking off this video or disliking it. I don't mean literally in how they play, but in terms of the music genre of games, in terms of kind of the same kind of problem of what hurt them in the last console generation, and really over the last, say, 5 to 10 years, and going forward. Those are the kind of things that I think are very, very similar between these two games. And I can talk about Rock Band again, too, if people want me to. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Here's the thing with Guitar Hero, is I think they made the most radical change of the two in the last time that the game came out. We had Guitar Hero Live that came out a couple of years ago, and this game really tried to change the way Guitar Hero worked. And Guitar Hero in general had been going downhill before that. But Guitar Hero Live, I played this game. I did not own it, but my cousin actually owned it, and he brought it over one time, and I played it, and I liked it. I actually really enjoyed it. I liked, seeing the people, like the humans, and playing in front of the actual crowd. Cool concepts, cool ideas. The change of the guitar to try and make it a little bit more like you're actually playing a guitar made it a little bit more difficult for sure, but I actually do play the real guitar, so I did kind of like it, and I feel like I actually got used to it rather quickly and was pretty good at it. So I did like the changes that they made. However, I think it's the same problem. The same thing with Rock Band as Guitar Hero is when it comes to buying the accessories and constantly having to add, always like having additions to your arsenal of all the controllers that you have, of these instruments, it's tough to sell people on that, especially now in the gaming world we live in. Even though you could argue, well, we live in a world where there's all these different kinds of controllers, and there's all these consoles, and there's all these consoles 0.5, right? Like they come out with a PS4, then the PS4 Pro, which is pretty much the PS4 4.5. You have all these things. You have all of the VR systems now. PlayStation has theirs. You have Oculus. You have the HTC. I mean, you have all of these. And so you could argue that we actually do live in a world where there's just so many accessories and so many things that you can buy if you need to. But the problem is when it comes to making a major video game, like a AAA video game, and a music video game, which I would also call AAA because you really want to market it towards the most people possible, it's tough. It's tough to sell people on that. Firstly, in order to get this game just flat out of the box, you got to get the game, but you also need to have the accessories. So it's not enough to buy the $60 video game, but you also need to have the, say, $50 or $60 guitar that comes with it. And Rock Band is even tougher because it's a whole thing, right? Not only is the guitar, but do you have like a microphone that you want to sing? Do you want to have the drums? You may need two of them, so you could have a bass for the guitar. So there's a lot there, and it also kind of underlies the bigger picture too, in that people just don't play music like they used to, and people aren't interested in the instruments as they used to be. And I think I made this exact point with Rock Band, and people said, I saw a comment just recently, so people are still watching that video saying how crazy I was and do I know anything. Well, again, I play the real guitar, and if you know music, if you know the music industry, you'll firstly know that the guitar industry in general is dying, okay? A lot of people buying guitars, that doesn't happen as much nowadays. Stores are closing like crazy. Guitar accessories, guitars themselves, really instruments themselves, we're really going into an age of computers and being able to make all of this music on the computer. You don't need drums, you don't need guitars, you don't need you don't need piano. You can, but not as many. And then people are, I'm not saying nobody's buying these things, but people aren't buying these things like they used to. They're the interest in owning these instruments, and these are the real life instruments, like to create real music. They're not there anymore. They're not there as they used to be. It's changing. You remember DJ Hero or whatever that was? That was a pretty interesting concept as well. That was kind of that attempt to get people, like maybe they were like, okay, well, people like rap, people like making music this way, so maybe we'll do this. And it was a decent enough game, but nobody really played it or bought it. But it's kind of the same issue. So if people aren't buying the real instruments, what makes you think that they're going to buy the fake instruments? Okay, you could argue, well, Alex, to buy a real guitar, $500, $600, $700, just kind of for like a lower end. If you want to get better guitars, you could be paying $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And if you're buying Guitar Hero, you're only spending $50, $60 on a fake guitar. Okay, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. Maybe people that wouldn't want to spend a couple $100 on a real instrument may find it better to just do that. But I don't know. It depends on who your market audience is and who throughout all of the time was really buying it. It was kind of more mainstream people as well that were buying. When these games were blowing up, when Guitar Hero, Guitar Hero 3, Guitar Hero 2, those were the biggest ones. Even I think 3 was the biggest game. And they sold, tens of millions of copies. Those are not all musicians that are buying that game. You're not just getting people that play the real guitar. Those are just normal people, off the street people that have whatever the current generation of console is, and they're buying the game and they're playing it because it's cool, because everything kind of clicks. It's kind of like Fatigue. It's kind of like that era. Maybe there's a lot that goes into why people aren't buying it, why people didn't buy Guitar Hero Live, and why I think it's and all these things go to the question of, will this game ever make a return? I feel like it can, and I feel like it will, but it's such an uphill battle because you have a era of this Guitar Hero that's gone. Okay, the golden era of when you sold 15, 20 million copies, it's gone. That was an amazing era. You would go over to somebody's house and it's a perfect game to play with more than one person. I mean, it was such a great thing. That era is gone. The music, if you're a musician and you actually have a real guitar, are you going to drop the money on the fake one? Or are you going to take money out of your own pocket again and buy another guitar? And that's the thing too, is when those games were selling, they were coming out so often, you could still use the same hardware. And remember when Guitar Hero Live and even the last Rock Band came out, and really a couple of them, the iterations of them even before that, the biggest problem and the biggest thing they kind of talked about was kind of working like, well, do we allow the old makes of these instruments to work? How do we even do that? Can we make this drum set, say for Rock Band, that worked, back with the PS3? Can we make that work for PS4? Does it literally work? The guitars, Guitar Hero Live again made the choice to completely switch up the guitars. That's tough because now you can't use the same. I still have Rock Band equipment from PS3 back when Beatles Rock Band came out, Green Day Rock Band. I have those instruments. So if you told me that I could play that on PS5 when Rock Band whatever comes out and it works, I am more inclined to buy it because of the game, because I'm only buying the game and then I can just play it with those instruments. But if you're for even Guitar Hero, if you're telling me that for the next Guitar Hero Live 2 or Guitar Hero whatever number they're on at this point on the PS5 is out, I have to buy the $60 game, but I also need to buy an $80 fake guitar to play it, and I can't use any other model that I've ever had for Guitar Hero, which I also have those. I have no idea where they are, but I'm sure I have it because I played Guitar Hero 2 and 3. That's tough. That's a tough sell. And again, the music industry for gaming is not really there anymore. Plus, it's all about DLC and adding on to existing games. You still see songs being added to old games now. Guitar Hero Live still gets updates. Rock Band still gets updates of new songs, but just on those old games because it's just easier. Also, it's tough to get the licensing and the money that they have to spend to get the music from these artists, from these bands, from these record labels to put on these games. There's just a lot. I mean, I think making a music game is probably the most difficult of any game. Not necessarily, in terms of like it's the hardest to create, but the amount of hoops you have to jump through to get all the licensing, to create the game, to sell people on not just the game, but also the extra equipment you need for the game. I don't think there's a tougher sell in any video, and it's for a very specific medium of music. And people already listen to music. Do they need to necessarily play it on their gaming console? I think it's easily the toughest medium of games out there. And I think that's what's always kind of stood in front of it, that's made it very, very difficult for them to continue, or for them to think of a new idea, and that's still what's plaguing them. So I think a new console generation tends to breathe, a new life into them. Guitar Hero Live came out of this new console generation, and because it kind of gives them a chance to say, okay, it's been enough years, it's been X amount of years, 3, 4, 5 years. They've had a break from music games. They've had a break from our music games. They have a new console generation. New people are playing it. It's a completely new system, new possibilities. Are people ready for it again? And I feel like that's really been the case the last like 2 or 3 times, and each time has kind of been met with, no, they're not ready. I mean, or the time's just passed and it's just not going to happen anymore. And ultimately, that's going to have to be a scary thing that people are going to have to think of one day too. Is it a thing where people aren't quote unquote ready for the next one? And you hear that quote a lot when it comes to these music games, or is it just it's not viable anymore? It's just not going to happen anymore. I believe we have probably at least one more attempt left in us with these 2 games. I think we'll get one more Guitar Hero and one more Rock Band in the PS5, Xbox Scarlet era. And if it doesn't work, it is no longer a are they ready for it thing. It's more of a they aren't going to get it, we have to stop forever kind of thing. So I feel like we only have one more chance left, which is why when these games come out, people have got to support it if they want future games in those entries. So my final answer is I do believe we'll get another Guitar Hero. It's just, maybe I think it's going to take a couple of years. I'd say 2 or 3 years into next gen, so I'd say it's another 2 to 3, probably 3 to 4 years away from when you guys are watching this video right now. But I do think it's possible, but this is probably, honestly, in my opinion, it's their last shot at this. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? What do you think has kind of been plaguing Guitar Hero for the future? What do you think stands in its way, and do you think we'll ever get a new game in that entry? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up, and thank you as always for watching. I hope to see you on the next video.